T minus 1 minute. T minus 50 seconds. T minus 40 seconds. T minus 30 seconds. T minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Rock the world. Rock the world. With me, no worries, come with me. No worries, just come with me. No worries, just come with me.
What up? What up? What's up? Welcome to the King M.E show. I'm one half of the King M.E show, King.
Hey y'all, it's me, Michelle. How y'all doing?
Welcome to the King M.E show live, where we offer a real outlook on healthy relationships. But real means something. The R means relatable.
The E means entertaining,
The A is accountable.
and the L is loving.
So we think that if you have all four of those elements into your relationship, that your relationship has a chance of lasting. Because look, these relationship streets are mean. And if you are not authentic and you are not relatable and accountable and loving in it, it's likely not to last and crash and burn.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
So I have one goal for this entire episode.
What's that, baby?
No glitches.
All right, let's do it.
All right. So who we got in the building? We got Tarika in the building. Said, I'm here. What up, Tarika? One of the best mods in the entire land. Appreciate you tuning in. If you are new to us, stay with us and be true to us. We are streaming across multiple platforms: Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, I believe.
Yeah.
X. If there's a like button on your platform, please hit that like button. We are also streaming on my homeboy Perry Productions Facebook page as well. So we give a salute to Perry Productions for allowing us to stream on his platform. So let's get into it. First of all, how you doing? I like the little lumberjack look you got going on.
So the truth behind why I'm dressed like a lumberjack is because since I'm still in the post-operative shoe, my balance is a little bit off. And these red Nikes, hold on, y'all. These red Nikes, I gotta cover up the ash, give me a little bit more of that height balance between the 2 feet. So I was like, I guess I'm gonna be wearing red all week because it's giving balance, and I need some balance and stability.
Do you need your mantises to get you orthopedic shoes with fat laces?
First of all,
Because I will. If you need them orthopedic shoes, I got you, babe. Just say it.
I was just on the phone with Melanie yesterday, and we were talking about the difference between a 70-year-old and an 80-year-old. You want to know what the difference is between a 70-year-old and an 80-year-old?
Besides the decade, no.
So an 80-year-old wears shoes like this, where it has like the Velcro going across the top. And a 70-year-old, bless their heart, they still got laces that they can tie up. So a 70-year-old still has laces. The 80-year-old has Velcro. That's the difference between a 70-year-old and an 80-year-old. So in answer to your question, no, I don't want no Velcro shoes yet.
Well, you make that look good, Ace. How about I say that?
Thank you. How are you doing, baby?
I'm doing good. This Monday gave Monday, but you know what? That's all right. I'm happy to be alive, happy to be here, and all of that. Tarika asked when we gonna come down to Hotland and visit. We don't know, but when we do, you will know. We will definitely link up with you when we do.
Right after we come from Slutty Vegan, we coming straight to your house. That's That's the order. So
why don't she come to Slutty Vegan with
or
us?
there you go. So we're gonna fly down there. We're gonna fly down into Hartfield. We're gonna meet up at Slutty Vegan. We're gonna have a meal, and then we'll go out and do whatever after we have the meal. Notice the order of things: airport, Slutty Vegan, and then priorities. We can even go check out, all the things I saw when I toured Atlanta. We can go check out those things, like check out the church where MLK preached when he was with his father, like when he first came into preaching. It's Ebenezer. And then we can check out Senator Warnock's church. Like we can go check out all of that, and then check out where the resting place for MLK and Coretta. We can go check out all of that after Slutty Vegan, though. But we can go do all that.
There is a lot of history down there, and I definitely like to check out some of that stuff, because even though I'm from Alabama, I haven't necessarily hit all of the historical visiting spots. Matter of fact, you might have hit more historical visiting spots than I have.
And then I've rewarded myself with Slutty Vegan.
Don't answer this question.
Oh.
And as soon as I ask it, just go ahead and get the icebreaker card.
Okay.
Does eating a Slutty Vegan make my vegan slutty? So, icebreaker question is as follows.
I feel like we've already addressed this.
Oh,
that's
all
a
right.
weird one. All right, so I'm gonna put that one back because I feel like we've already talked about that.
But don't you have some type of system?
I do. I must have grabbed.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Have you ever met a celebrity?
I've met quite a few, depending on what you would call a celebrity, but I gave the story the other day on a different platform, and I'll share this one here. My most memorable celebrity encounter, actually I have two.
Mm-hmm.
One, I headbutted Sean Alexander, former NFL running back, by accident when I went to go lean in for a picture. Second, I ended up meeting Isaac Hayes, but when I asked Isaac Hayes if it was Isaac Hayes, he said it wasn't him and that it was a doppelganger, and I believed it. Me and my brother. But I went back to the place the very next day, and the person that worked there had recalled the encounter, was like, yeah, that was Isaac Hayes. He eats here all the time. And it was like a juice bar type spot, like a neck where you can order like wheatgrass and stuff. Mm-hmm. And apparently he was into that stuff.
Okay.
How about you?
So, back at my Bowie days, I met Eva Marcel, the model. This was like when she was fresh off of America's Next Top Model. I met Floetry, Music Soul Child, and just recently, Dean Cain, Superman. So, yeah, I want to say that those are all the celebrities that I met.
Nice. I was trying to find the Dean Cain picture and pull it up, but I couldn't get to it real quick.
No, it's okay. I would say out of all of them, like, there were different phases of my life. I've never been one of those, like, awestruck, like, no, put me in front of Denzel or Dr. Umar, and we may have...
You know, I asked somebody the other day, CQ from Pop Culture Warrior, he does a fantastic live stream. He's met and interviewed a lot of celebrities, and I asked him if there was anybody that got him starstruck, and he said, man, I can't. It's funny when you're live, like, you forget the names, but the main actor from Back to the Future.
Oh, okay. No, not Michael Douglas. I know. Oh, dang it.
Y'all know who I'm talking about.
It was right here.
Like, I'm looking at his
Michael J. Fox.
Michael J. Fox, thank you.
Okay.
He said that he met Michael J. Fox, and that was one of the moments that had got him starstruck. But he's done stand-up comedy in front of former presidents. So meeting a celebrity is not anything new for him. But he said that the Michael J. Fox meeting definitely had him starstruck.
I think that's how I'd be with Dr. Umar.
Who would I have that would make me starstruck?
I know.
Well,
Gal Gadot.
Definitely Gal Gadot. I'd probably be a bumbling fool in front of Gal Gadot. I'll tell you who I would like to meet, and maybe you can add this too, like who you would actually like to meet. This person and I share the same birth month and birthday. Former President Barack Obama. I would love to meet him in person and just have a conversation with him. Hey, Barry's people, I'm a former U.S. Air Force veteran. I have served this country with distinction and honor. Even if I have to travel to him, I used to have a top secret clearance. I'll pass all background checks. If he's willing to meet up with you, boy, let me know.
Holla, call me. Who would I like to meet?
Like, actually meet. Seems like you wouldn't like to actually meet Dr. Umar. I got a joke about Dr. Umar. I think he secretly likes snow bunnies.
Of course he does. Of course he does. Real talk, when you see people get up and they're bashing something so with such passion, they're bashing something, they're typically attracted to it. Like, there's typically an attraction. But no, I wouldn't fangirl out over him. Oh, who would I fangirl out? I think knowing what I know now, if I could meet MLK or Malcolm X, I'd probably fangirl over one of them.
Okay. I can see
Honestly, you put me in front of my soror Betty Shabazz, and I'd probably fangirl out a little bit. So Betty Shabazz is Malcolm X's wife. Mm-hmm. Put me in front of her, I'd probably fangirl out a little bit. So, yeah. I fangirl, historian, like low-key fake historian. I fangirl out over them.
Tarika said, I'd like to meet Mara Brooke Akil. I met him. He was here in Atlanta. Nice. Nice.
Okay.
She said she got plenty of pictures with celebrities and don't post them either. Hey, post them pictures. What's the deep question?
What's your biggest pet peeve and why?
I don't let a lot of stuff get to me, but I don't like intentionally rude people. Ooh, okay. Now I do have a pet peeve. If I'm going 5 over the speed limit already on cruise control, don't get up behind me if I'm already in the slow lane expecting me to do something. I'm going a steady rate of speed already. I should not have to adjust for you. So don't sit here and look at me like I'm doing something wrong.
Honey, the issue is you think 5 over the speed limit is fast, baby. 5 over the speed limit is the speed limit.
That's not how that works.
That is how that works. The number you see on the sign is a recommendation.
No.
It's okay, if you ain't got no ba-ba-boom in you, like, that's what it is. It's a recommendation. It's not a must-do.
See, this is what's wrong with America now. What's your biggest pet peeve?
My biggest pet peeve is when people lie for no reason. Like, lie for absolutely no reason. No, you know what? I'm a teacher now. Let me change that. Okay. My biggest pet peeve is laziness. Ooh. I'm Jamaican. I don't understand laziness. I understand exhaustion and not...
Actually talk so that...
Okay.
I'm being hurt.
I understand exhaustion and not wanting to... like, having something really busy happen and you want to, like, tone down after all of that because you're exhausted. I understand exhaustion. I don't understand laziness. Like, I can't process it. I can't fathom it. I don't understand why certain people can't do more. I don't understand overall apathy when it comes to things because I can't process laziness and because my family's Jamaican. Like, they're just... anything revolving laziness and apathy, I don't understand. I can't process.
In your adult life, approximately how many jobs have you had?
Please don't start. Like, let's just put it this way. If you're talking about adult as in 18 to now, we're talking about a 20-year span, I've had more than 20 jobs in that time period because I'm Jamaican. Like, first of all, my first job, I was 17. So technically, I had that job when I was 18. I've had quite a few. I've probably had about, like, in the 30s.
Wow.
Some of them working simultaneously. I'm counting jobs, not employers. So even, like, if there was a promotion within a company, technically, for all intents and purposes, that's a different job. Mm-hmm. So I've had over 30 jobs in 20 years.
I've been with the same employer since 2013. 2 jobs, though. Take away my training time. 2 jobs. I worked as a project manager. Now I'm more of an IT specialist. Mm-hmm. Before that, 1. Before that, 1.
For 2 days. That don't count.
No.
Oh, you're not talking about that one?
Nope. Okay. My job when I was the DOD Air Force, as a civilian, and then my 9 years in the Air Force as an in-flight refueler. Now, I did my non-flying duties were several things, but I can count on one hand, when you include the fact that I worked at Applebee's for 2 days, how many jobs I've had since I was 17. Wow, we could not be any more opposite on some things. That's hilarious.
Well, in all fairness, so we were just talking about me and boredom earlier. So that's number one. Number two, some of those jobs I worked simultaneously. Like there was a point where I did have 3 jobs at one point. So there's that. And that was literally working for 3 different employers at one point. Another thing to consider, I mean, I was in college, so there was a job that I had back home, and then there was a job that I had that was closer to college campus. So there was that. But there was, where there's time and opportunity. The funny thing about me having over 30 jobs in a 20-year span is that I've never worked in food service before.
I would have assumed that at least one or two of those.
None. I've never worked for any fast food restaurant. I've never worked for anyone that their primary job was to sell food. I worked for a promotions company, and at one time we were promoting a steak, so we would have to prepare it. But technically, I've never worked for a food company before. I've never done waitressing or waiting tables or anything like that. Bartending, none of that. Never did any of those types of jobs. I've never had a job where I depended on tips to survive.
Do you remember on In Living Color, they had the Jamaican family, and they were always proud about having multiple jobs.
2, 3 jobs, yeah.
At one point, did you ever have more than one employer at the same time?
Yeah, I worked for 3 companies at one time. Bam.
A true Jamaican.
Yeah, there's literally, if you go into Towson Mall, most of the stores aren't there anymore, but there was one floor where I worked for 4 different employers, and 3 of them were simultaneous. So my first shop was Build-A-Bear Workshop, which was all the way down at this end. And then down this end, I next went and worked for Bath and Body Works. And then while I was working for Bath and Body Works, I was also working at a shoe store called Naturalizer, and I was working part-time at Hooked on Phonics. So I was working those 3 jobs all at one time.
Okay.
Same floor.
Shout out to MZXOLO over on Perry Productions with the sticker. That's dope. I've never seen anybody come in with a sticker before.
Thank you.
I appreciate you for that. Appreciate the support. Thank you.
And Tarika says she can't stand a liar, sis.
I know.
Get it.
I know. She's been very adamant about that.
Yeah. All right. What do you spend the most time thinking about other than me, and why?
My life. Just all of the intricacies that is weaved in it. What I need to spend time cultivating. What I need to spend time cutting away. Ways that I can improve. Like you and I are both looking at improving on our health and fitness, and that's been consuming some of my thoughts lately on the steps and things that I need to take. We've talked about in maybe our prior live how we're taking March. Like I have a bunch of appointments coming up here in March. You just came over a surgery, yet you're not using that as an excuse to not do anything. Like you're still working on diet and stuff like that, like all of the things, right? So I spend a pretty good bit of my time thinking about my life and everything that kind of falls under that umbrella.
Sidebar, adding into that, I have a CT scan, a CAT scan on Wednesday, right?
I was not aware.
It's not on our joint calendar, but that's the contrast CT scan that I have to have. So, I'll be leaving work early to go get that.
Hold on to your thoughts. Pause. We have a joint calendar, right?
We got joint several things.
We have a joint calendar. We have a joint checking account that you and I both put money in. We've been dating a little bit over a year as a still new-ish couple. I gotta.
We got one more month for that newish.
I gotta find a way to put that in there, and a lot of that stuff helps with the honesty, the openness, and the transparency. Being hot with each other.
Shout out to the Real Precious.
So, okay, so you don't have that in there. So, and you know me, look, you might have told me, but if it ain't in that calendar, chances are I might not have been aware. So, how about you?
what do I spend a lot of time thinking about?
Mm-hmm.
I spend a lot of time thinking about, it's sad to say, but what I can do better. Like, I'm always I think I'm a perfectionist. Like, I low-key think I'm a perfectionist. So I do think about, like, oh, how could I have done this better? Or how can I do this better for the future? Oh, I kind of made a little mess up on that. How can we change that going forward to do some level of improvement? I think about that a lot. And that does push me to do other things. So you talked about going back to the gym. It hurt to go to the gym today for multiple reasons. It had been 2 weeks since I had been there. And like I had this odd stiffness that's here in my thigh, so that was painful. I had hit my foot earlier this morning. Oh my gosh, I hit my foot earlier this morning, and then I lightly just tapped it when I went to the gym, and I felt that residual pain, and it was not easy. And I like limped in there, and I went, and God was on my side because the area where I wanted to go and like stretch and do all the things was free and available. There wasn't anyone over there. After I had gotten off the phone with you, I did see a former student, and I was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, honey. I didn't see you when I came in." And he was like, "Oh, I saw you," and I'm like, "And you ain't say nothing. You ain't real. You ain't real." But I spend a lot of time thinking about like what I can do better because I like improvement upon things.
That's interesting. I'm going to tell you, I view that as a strength, and a weakness sounds bad.
A strength, so we can call it a grow and a glow. Okay. So glow being strength and grow meaning weakness, something that you can grow from.
Yeah.
That's what I like to word it.
Because if you spend too much time around the perfectionist area, sometimes you can't admire like the work that's put in and just the outcome that even comes from it. So just something to think about.
Cute and wise.
You know, I try, baby.
It's some gray hairs, I'm telling you.
Hey, yes, I need more of them things. I need more of them things to come up in there.
They banging over there. I like it.
All right, so we've gotten our Let's Get Deep questions out of the way. Questions for couples. They're not sponsoring us
yet,
but we think that this is a really dope date type of activity. Maybe not date number one, but if you're looking at spending some significant time around somebody, the questions in here, I think it helped drive the conversations around helping to get to know somebody. If you're interested in buying it, we do have a link in the description box below. Now, today's topic, and I got to bring this up, which, hey, last week, somebody got at me about my reading capabilities because I was trying to read.
Really?
Yeah, somebody was like, he reads slow. It was on YouTube. It was a comment.
Yeah, you know I ain't see that comment.
It was the scenario that we gave last week, and it was just over 1 minute, so it wasn't a short, but it got several thousand views and probably about 100 comments.
You know good and daggone well I ain't see that because I'd have went off. That's something that everyone is working on. When I say everyone, I mean the Lord, I mean King. I am very protective and defensive over what's mine. And this isn't me getting territorial or anything like that. This is just me saying, you don't talk about my family. You don't talk about someone that I love. King,
you can't control the internet, though. So let me handle all of that.
That's exactly why I let him handle all that. Because at the end of the day, it don't matter where I live. It don't matter what my current zip code is. I'm forever repping the countryside of Jamaica and Northeast Baltimore. Like, holla back if you want to, okay? That Jamaican, that countryside Jamaican. Like, we talking about St. Anne, okay? We talking about Brownstown. We talking about the same place where Bob Marley is from. That's where my family from.
I'm not from Bob Marley from?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Not from Kingston. My family's not from Kingston. My family's not from Montego Bay and Ocho Rios and like all them other places. No. They from the country. Okay.
All them kids he had by all them people. You sure y'all ain't related in some form or fashion?
Look, I told people like off camera, if someone asked, Bob Marley is my cousin. Okay. He's my cousin.
Got you. Tarika said that she's improving herself.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yes, I love it.
All right. So hopefully I'm going to not read this question like, see, Spot, run.
You want me to read it?
Run, Spot, go. I got it, baby.
Okay, because I was about to say, because if you read it and somebody comment and I see it.
Yeah. Let's see if I can get this up on the screen. Abracadabra. Bam. All right, so this is going to be what drives our conversation today, as money and finances have to do every bit about dating and relationships and things like that. Every bit.
Every bit. Come on, country. Come on.
So this question was found on Instagram, and Michelle shared it with me, and I said, you know what? Let's talk about it, right? It's not your scandalous type thing, whatever, but that's not what we're here about. Our live stream is to offer a real outlook on a healthy relationship. So King J over on Instagram said the average rent is $2,000, and we're supposed to make 3 times the rent, which is $6,000. That turns out to be $72,000 over the course of a year. The average salary in the United States is 51 grand. Are y'all seeing the issue? That's how he posed the question. Now, I haven't done any stats to go and double check this to see if he's right or not, but we can use reasoning to look at that data and say, well, yeah, that can be true. So let's assume that that's true. What are your thoughts?
So first thing, you got space or capacity for a calculator. Let's look at the first thing. So he is right that typically when you are renting, the rent is typically, they want you to make 3 times whatever the rent is. So if the average rent is $2,000 and they want you to make 3 times that, that is $6,000. Do me a favor, 6,000 times 12. I know what it is, but just go ahead.
That is 72,000.
So that is assuming that you have no debt, right? Because if $2,000 per month is going to be for rent, that means that's $4,000 for everything else. That's $4,000 for insurance, like health insurance. That's $4,000 for bills in said home. That's $4,000 for groceries. That's $4,000 for gas. That's transportation. That's $4,000 for if you got any student loans. That's $4,000 for anything else that you were trying to do, and taxes. Because we can't forget, because that $4,000 has to include taxes in there somewhere, and taxes are probably going to take what, depending on like your gross. My net is about, with everything that I take out, and I'm a teacher, so I extend it so I can get summer pay. My net is probably about like 55% of my gross. Which means that the amount of money net is the amount of money that you take home after all of the pre-taxes and all that other stuff comes out. So my net after taxes and everything like that is about 55% of my gross. So if you're saying 6,000, 55% of 6,000, we're talking somewhere in like the 3,500 range. 3,500 range. So if this person is making 6,000 a month, and if they're getting taxed like I am because of the allocations that I have, we're talking about like 3,500 per month that they're left with, and 2,000 of it has to go towards rent. That leaves 1,500 for everything else.
Yep.
Everything else.
And that's not including, let's say in this scenario, we're talking about a single person. That's not including if this person has any dependents, or as the Jamaicans say, pitneys.
Yes.
And how you're having to divide up the money amongst other people. So if you're living by yourself as a single person, you really have to ask yourself, when it comes down to it, can you afford to date? Can you afford to be with somebody? I'm going to get personal with you and the viewers. You already know this, but the viewers aren't. But this is real life for me.
And I got numbers for you when you're finished.
Okay.
So are you going to take that down? Okay.
I'm going to take that down. After my divorce, felt like I needed to get back out there. Felt like I needed to be wanted by somebody. All right. So I decided to just be out in these streets. And I had zero business being out in the streets because I had $0 to be out in these streets. So you talk about broke dating. Oh man, let me tell you the things that I was about to say the things that I did for money. That is not the case. I'm only joking.
That's a little strange for a little change.
But I wasn't making as much money as I'm making now. I had just had the split of everything, and then I gave my ex-wife more than I needed to, essentially, like more than we agreed, because I didn't want, A, I was making more than her at the time, and B, I did not want anything to be stressful on her side, because anything that's stressful on her side blows back to me more than likely, right? So I'm trying to say, have as much as you need for this split to be favorable and less stressful for you. And you know what? I'm built for this. Right? But what I should have did during that time period was take that time off and not be dating. Take that time to restructure my finances. Take that time to really build my life up so that I wasn't out here broke dating, because I spent too much time broke dating instead of restructuring my finances and everything, and I was miserable because of it. I ended up accepting, I'm just gonna say this, not everybody. So some of y'all that might know me that watched the show and was like, wait, I met you during that time period. What you talking about? Not everybody that I met wasn't high quality, or I always put people in quality quadrants: low quality, average, which is a majority where everybody else, and then high quality. I accepted some low quality people around me just to have people around me when I shouldn't have, because I didn't have money to actually be dating, right? So that period of my life really helped me understand what I needed to do. So when I realized that, I got off the dating market completely, because I could not afford to date, right? I'm going to put this back up here. I could not afford to date. So you have some numbers.
I have some numbers.
Share those numbers.
So let's keep everything else the same. King J says the average rent is $2,000. Rental companies, and even if you're not renting from like a traditional rental company, but like if you're renting someone's home, they typically do want you to make 3 times the amount, because they want to make sure that you can pay the rent, right? So average is $2,000, make 3 times the amount, which means you need to make $6,000 in a month. I already told y'all that, just going off of me, adding a little bit of me into this, that I net about 55%, 56% of my gross. So that means that if using these numbers, if it were $6,000 a month, I'm probably taking home about $3,500 a month. And here's what the average salary is by state. The number one state, the highest average salary state, is Massachusetts at $76,600.
Okay.
Right underneath of that is New York at $74,870. So we're talking about the highest, the average annual salary. Well, salary is annual anyway, but anyway, the average salary per state. First state is Massachusetts at $76,600. Second state is New York at $74,870. Third state is California at $73,220. So you're probably thinking, where did he get $51,000? Well, let's come look all the way at the end of the line. If you didn't know this before, if you've never listened to me, especially after October when I came back from touring and got to see this particular state, Mississippi, baby, Mississippi is ranked number 50 with the lowest average annual salary at $45,180. Process what the word average means. This is for a math lover and me coming out. Average means that there are people above and there are people below, but for the most part, if you add up everyone's salary and then divide it equally by the amount of people earning that salary, this is what you get for the average. Their average is 45,000, which means that there are enough people below that 45,000 and a good amount of people above. And when you add them up together and average them, it comes out to $45,000. Okay. Where's the 51 coming in? Because that's a 51. 51, we see Louisiana at number 43, earning 50,000. Not Louisiana and Oklahoma are tied at 50,940. We are in the wonderful Alabama, number
Alabama?
46 at $50,620.
Of course.
And that's the last 50,000. Everything else, 47, 48, 49, and 50 are all under $50,000. The wonderful, fantabulous state of Maryland is number 6, where the average salary is $69,750. So how is someone supposed to pay $2,000 in rent if they are netting? Because that's gross. What's on that paper right there is gross. Mm-hmm. How is someone supposed to net $3,500 a month and then pay $2,000 a month in rent?
Insane.
Never mind the dating, but how are you supposed to do that?
I don't have an answer. I wonder if the current economic situation is a big factor or an insignificant factor in why we see dating the way that it is now.
Well, how is dating now?
So, in my opinion, right, people are having a lot more easier access to upper echelon high earners. Or I heard Kevin Samuels say the term Henry, high earner, not rich yet.
Okay.
And I think that you can get a good bit of people that can fit that category, right? They're high earners, but not rich yet. Like, for example, to live in Maryland, take debt off the table. To live where we live, how much do you think that a person would need to make to just live comfortable?
In our state or our county?
In our county.
In our county, I promise you, on everything, with no debt whatsoever and no children, you need to earn at least like $75,000 to live comfortably.
That was about the number I was thinking. I was at 81, 82, somewhere around there. To live comfortable,
mm-hmm.
right? I'm not talking being extravagant with your lifestyle. I'm talking about to be able to afford a place to live here, because whether you rent or buy, it's not cheap here.
It is close to $2,000. We may be a little bit under. The farther under that $2,000 you go, the less comfortable you fit in to be living.
Mm-hmm. The less comfortable, the higher the crime, all of that jazz.
Mm-hmm.
It's baffling to me, right? Because I think that you see people having more access to those Henrys, especially around this area. Living here is skewed dating for me, because if I was making what I'm making now in Alabama,
you're living like a king.
Oh, I'm in a palace.
That's that mansion right over there.
I'm in a palace, and I don't mind saying how much I make. I just can't say it yet because I still have a daughter under the age of 18. But it's baffling to me, because I think that you have ladies, right, that they may go out and meet somebody that make a pretty decent amount of money, and now, I've caught a guy that makes $200K.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm used to now dating. Doesn't matter what she makes, and vice versa. Let me raise my hand and say, I went out on a date with somebody that made astronomically more money than me. It didn't make me feel uncomfortable at all, right? Because for me, I've always been about, and you can attest to this. I mean, you decided to, date me for this long. It's not about like what you can do for me.
Yeah, not at all.
It's more about, do we enjoy each other's company, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do we have the opportunity? Can you have a day in where we just play cards or sit down and watch Love is Blind right before we go live today, and almost have technical difficulties going live because we put right up to the second
we did
in watching the last Love is Blind episode before you and I went live today, and just genuinely enjoy that? Can we also have times, and this is me speaking for myself, where we're just in each other's company, but we don't say nothing to each other, but yet we still feel connected? Like, I don't have to feel like you're feeling that, oh, we ain't talking to each other, so we must not be connected. No, I just want a moment of shut upness. and it has nothing to do with if you've been talking or not talking or whatnot. For me, I have times where I just want to just sit. Mm-hmm. I talk a lot for my job, right? So whenever, you're a teacher. Of course, you have to communicate a lot for you. We are in jobs where communication is like at the top echelon for how we deliver our work product. And when I'm not doing my job or I'm not on live streams, sometimes I just want to sit and do nothing. Okay. And if I can be with somebody like you that understands that, we can rock together for a long time, baby.
All right, baby. So Tarika went and shared that the minimum wage in Georgia is $7.25. Yes, we do have some states that are still at the. You can close it, I guess.
Yes, I can. Yeah.
We have some states that are right at the federal minimum wage. Mississippi is definitely one of them states too, and that's why I'm like, I traveled through there, and I'm like, how do they survive? Like, how are you surviving?
I made a joke the other day, and I shared this with you, so this isn't going to be new. I'm going to share this one as well. Apologies. Were you finished with that thought?
Yeah.
Okay. I went and did a volunteer event this past weekend, and afterwards I said, I want a steak, right? So I Googled the closest place to eat a steak. Fogo de Chao was an option, but what also popped up was Gordon Ramsay Steakhouse, which was in the Caesars Casino in downtown Baltimore. So I said, you know what? I've never been. I know it's likely going to be expensive, but you know what? I got it. Whatever. Let's go. So I get down there, I open up the menu, and yeah, let me tell you, if this was my broke dating days, when I didn't have it, I would have looked at that menu, the menu would have laughed at me, and I would have got up and walked out, right? The cheapest steak option that they had was like $45, but it was for one that I'm like, I'm not interested in that. So I got me a New York strip. Came out fantastic. The price of just the strip alone, right? Because you know how if you go to Outback, you place an order for something, you get the steak and two sides.
Yeah, yeah.
Not at Gordon Ramsay Steakhouse.
Okay.
The steak by itself was $65 for a New York strip. Now, it was amazing. It was fantastic. But that was $65. I then ordered truffle fries as a side.
You went extra bougie.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I went pinky in the air bougie.
Oh, okay. I can't do a pinky in there, but there you go.
And the truffle fries itself was $12.
See, and it's funny that you pay $65. Remember how I said the one job I had that like we served food? We promoted for Safeway, and that was when Safeway was introducing its New York strip steak. And back then I did eat beef. So I remember like if we had leftover cooked steak at the end of an event, I would bring home New York strip steak. And let me tell you, baby, it was not no $65. Okay, what they putting on that? Jesus himself? Like, come on now.
Sprinkle gold dust on the steak or something. So my meal, which was a steak, truffle fries, it was an extra $5 for like the steak sauce if you wanted it on the side.
And they give it to you dry? What? Okay.
Yeah, but it was even without the sauce, it was still slamming. Trust me, it was still slamming.
Okay.
And 2 drinks was $118 before tax, before tip. Now, if I was on a date, the average price of the other entrees that were there, so it's not like a big menu because it's a very selective menu, but I guess each Gordon Ramsay place has its own menu at that location. The average entree was $48. That was the average entree. So if I'm on a date, and let's say that my date's a drinker, you're not a drinker.
I'm not a drinker, and I don't eat meat. I'm a cheap date.
But if you were, and I were to take you out and we go there, right? That's on the higher end of a dining option range. But for 2 people, you're talking $250 minimum. If you both have 2 drinks, you both have 1 entree, and you both have 1 side. And that wasn't even dessert. The cheapest dessert was like $16. So when you're talking being able to afford the date, if you decide to do that, you better have the funds to be able to do that. You better be able to go to that date, both of y'all separately, and be able to cover y'all's meals separately, and you not have to worry about, am I going to be close on my bills for the rest of this month?
But here's the thing about what you just said that
Ooh.
irritates me about today's dating.
Let's hear it.
What irritates me about today's dating is, and I'm going to say it just like it is, I don't care, the audacity of women when they go out on dates and they fully expect a man to pay for every single thing. Number one, there's that audacity. But then number two, the justification behind the audacity being that, oh, I paid for my hair and my nails. And? Is it that man's responsibility to make sure that your hair and your nails look good because you think you need to look this way in order to get a man? That's not his responsibility. When you met me, I was in my season of, again, getting my nails done and everything like that. When we went out on our first outing, I came in there, I actually looked real basic in comparison to you. Because, like, I was like, I'm just going to hang out with a friend. Granted, I just met him, but I'm just going to go hang out with a friend. We're supposed to do something real casual. My locks were, like, up. I think I was super casual. Like, I was in some little $6 shorts from Rainbow.
You look good in them shorts, too.
But thank you. I was in some $6 shorts from Rainbow and, like, a t-shirt. I was extra casual. My upkeep and maintenance is not your responsibility. It is lovingly, unless we are in that type of marriage where you work and I'm home taking care of the household, my maintenance is not your responsibility under any condition. How much it costs for my hair to get done and how much it costs for my nails to get done, I don't mind telling you, but it's not your responsibility to pay for it, especially if we're not married. Again, I want to always make that distinction that if we're married, then that's different. We set different boundaries and stuff for our marriage. Mm-hmm. That's totally different. We're talking about dating. We're talking about dating. And in the dating world, my maintenance is not your responsibility.
It's baffling. Have you seen the videos where people are like, date number 2 asking for money to cover that kind of stuff, like hair and maintenance and things like that?
That's ridiculous. Why do you think that it's a man's responsibility to take care of that? You looked that way before you met him.
I was just going to say that.
Before you met him, you looked like that. Like, you decided that you needed to look like that. So that's not on him. And I say all of that to say, women, if you are going to go out on a date with a man, it doesn't matter who set it up. Always go in your mind, well, with the money in your wallet. Like, always go with that money ready to pay for it. Be ready to pull out a card. And if you're like me and you don't carry cards, be ready to Cash App some money or something like that. Cash App, Zelle, Venmo, whatever. But don't walk into that situation thinking that it's just going to be him paying. Like, I remember our first outing. I walked in. I had never been there before, so I didn't know what to expect. But once I saw that you had to pay, I was ready to pay, but you stated that you had already paid for everything. I had no problem paying. And eventually, our one little quick date turned into a 10-hour, 11-hour thing.
It was a fun day.
It was a fun day. It was really, really fun. We should go I told you we should recreate that. But it turned into a whole thing. But the expectation was never, oh, he's going to pay for all of this because I paid for whatever. I paid for the gas in my car to come and meet you. Like, no, that is ridiculous. And I hate that because it makes all women, regardless of your ethnicity and your race, it makes all women look bad when there is that assumption that because you chose to invest so much money in your appearance for this date with you and another person, that it's on this person to pay. Now, it's something totally different if the man says to the woman, I would like to take you out on a date, because universal woman code, when we hear, I would like to take you out on a date, that's code for I'm paying for this date. Mm-hmm. Like, that's what we hear.
Yeah, and that's actually the way that I believe it should be. If I'm asking you out, I am saying I am asking you to be in my presence. And I got this.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
Now, also, I'm going to say this too. Men, guys out there, if you get asked out, take it. If you're interested in that person. I'm going to tell you right now, if a lady invites you out, that is her showing high interest in you. And I'm also telling you, if you have a lady that's willing to come off some coins to spend time with you, because for the most part, there's not a lot of free stuff you can do out there besides.
Oh, but I'm gonna find them though.
Going to Barnes and Nobles, and
I'm gonna find some free stuff to do.
You know, or if you have a picnic, but that's still you're spending some money on the things for the picnic anyway, right? But that's still kind of low key. But there's not a lot of free stuff. So if you got somebody that is willing to spend time in you as a man, if you're interested in her, don't fight that. Let that happen. I only say that because, and I'm not going to call him out, but there's one person who has this lady that I think is a good fit for him, right? And he's not like a player or anything like that. He's just like, yeah, but like, she messed it up for me. I wanted to be the one to come on her. I said, well, you didn't make your move, playboy. You didn't make your move, so she decided to step. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Now that the ball's in your court, take it and lead. If that's what you feel like you need to do it. Do it.
Do you want to go out on a date, babe?
Let's do it.
Let's go out on a date.
Let's go out on a date.
This is me asking you out on a date.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
All right. So that means that you got it covered.
Yes.
Okay. All right, deal.
So we were talking about how can people afford to date in this time? And the reality is y'all both got to be some high earning people to date in this time because it's expensive. It's expensive. If we go back to the image that we were talking about earlier, that the average rent is $2,000. Rental companies want you to make 3 times that, which means you need to gross $6,000 a month. But if you're like me and the way you split up your things, I get about 55% net of my check. So if my monthly earning was $6,000, we're talking about probably about like $3,500. $3,500, you take out that $2,000 for rent, that leaves me with $1,500 for the month. There's a cell phone bill that has to come from there. There's car insurance that has to come from there. Some people probably have car payments. Like it is so not cost effective to live. Like this is where I get on my tangents about earning a living wage. And this is where I put on my union hat. And I'm like, people need to be able to earn a living wage. Because if you and I both said that in order to live in the county where we live and to live comfortably, you need to earn somewhere between $75,000 to $81,000, I can tell you right now that the support staff and that there are many people in this county who do not earn that. And that is how costly our county is to live.
Let me ask a question off of that. Do you think that a lot of those people have to get themselves in a situation where they're in a 2-income household, meaning A, married, or B, they have a roommate situation?
Yes, absolutely, 100%. Either one of those two, or they are on subsidized housing, because that's the only way you can survive in this county.
And it's wild to me because we're at an age where we've been in the workforce so long that we make a good enough salary to support what it is, like how long we've been in the workforce. I can't imagine a 20-something-year-old just coming out of college, just getting out the military, right? Let's say you didn't even go to college. You're 25. I remember what I made at 25. There's no effing way I could support a family living in Maryland if my significant other was not working and we were like living here and I was making what I was making at 25. It's not possible. At least how it was then, or then maybe. Now, definitely not.
So I'm a career changer, right? I was not always a teacher. This is my 3rd year as a teacher. And I remember when I was in school, because I had to get a teaching certificate, a teaching degree. So I had to go back to school for a second master's. When I was in school, I was looking at other career changers as well. Some of the career changers were younger, right? Well, like 2 of them were younger. 3 of them, 1, 2, 3 of them were married. So they could offset that income. And one of them, I believe she has a partner that she lives with. Everyone's situations were different. But here's the reason why I bring that up. I'm a career changer who is actually at the top of my salary lane that I can be for the amount of years that I've been in education. Like, there is literally no way to make more. So the way we break it down in education is you have pay lanes based on your education and the credits that you have. Okay. And then you have a step, which is based on how many years of service currently, because Maryland Blueprint wants to change what a step looks like. So you can have someone who's in the bachelor's degree column at year 1, and this is the salary that they earn. Bachelor's degree year 10, and this is what they earn. So you go over to the lane column, and then you go down to their step, and where the two intersect is what that person receives. Well, bachelor's is over here, which is where you typically get a lot of your first year teachers. Straight out of high school, they have a bachelor's degree. This is the column that they're in. The next lane over is master's degree. Master's degree in absolutely anything, and first year teacher, so this is what you earn. Then there's another master's degree lane here. So I think this is like master's plus like 30 or 60 or something like that. And then there's the last lane all the way over here that is for masters plus like 90 or something. So I have 2 master's degrees, and I have over 90 some odd credits. So I'm at the highest pay lane that I can possibly be. As far as my step, I'm not that far in because I haven't been teaching that long. So my step isn't very high. So yes, in my pay lane, there's ways to advance, but there are no more lanes for me to go to. Not every teacher in the 3rd year is in my position. So I think about the salary that I earn, and I look at other 3rd-year teachers or other teachers who may have been teaching longer than me, but they only have a bachelor's degree, and I earn more than them. I say all of that to say that even someone like a new teacher, so someone in my career field, a new teacher, someone who may have been teaching less than me for a shorter time than me, but does not have a master's degree, you have to live with someone. You have to live with someone, whether that is a relative, whether that's a roommate, whether that is a partner, whatever it may be. You have to in order to survive, because there's no way to live in this county and make that salary and be able to live on your own in a safe neighborhood.
Do you think that if people are responsible and they realize that it's that level of thinking that's going to cause folks to not necessarily worry about dating in their 20s? Because look, I would tell any man out there or young man that I would mentor, I wouldn't even focus on dating in my 20s.
No.
I would say, get your money up, first and foremost. And when you're at a pretty decent, when you're above the average earners in your area, then you can start considering. If you don't have 3 months in your savings saved up, if you don't have, let me think, because there's some people that say that, oh, like, if you don't have your own place. I don't have my own place. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I don't, but if you take a look at the outside would say, oh, you're almost 40 years old and you don't have your own place? I don't have time to date you.
But see, that was the outside decades ago. That outside decades ago is not where we are right now. You can't say that now, because the reality is, yes, that's what you would say to a guy in their 20s. You would say, yes, don't think about dating right now. But the guys in their 20s right now are coming into their careers in relationships.
Because they're dumb.
They're holding on to whatever they had before. Like, I'm looking,
I think they're getting manipulated.
So, okay, so that may be your perspective, and I don't disagree with it. I'm just thinking of someone. So we have a new teacher at our school who is like new, like fresh out of college. Amazing teacher, like phenomenal teacher in a relationship. And he's young, like he's like fresh out of college. So we're talking like 22, 23. He's fresh out of college. We have a teacher now who I think she's in like her 5th year of teaching or something like that. She just got married little over a year ago to the guy that she's been with since she was a freshman in high school. They're both in their 20s.
They have kids together?
They don't have any kids. They have a dog.
Then, all right.
But they just bought a house in Adamstown. So, like, they bought a costly house. I don't know what he does for a living, but yeah. So, like, it takes money, and some people are just, you know, they are gravitating towards that relationship. So I think right now we're going to see a shift. We're going to see some people who are just, we called it, like back in the day, we called it a hobosexual, someone who was just dating for a place to live. And the reality is, you kind of do see that. You do see a lot of people who are dating for that very reason.
Where I think guys are messing up is that guys aren't accurately family planning. They're not accurately strapping up. They're not accurately controlling their reproductive organs and still going out and having sex, which one of the things that can happen from sex is that you can get someone pregnant, right? And now you have, each kid is its own liability. Because not every kid costs the same, but every kid costs, right? So now if you're a man in your 20s and you're not necessarily earning even the average salary yet, you already have this, I'm going to say, like, negative balance starting out.
Yeah.
Because you have this mouth that you have to feed. Unless you're a guy that just ducks that responsibility. But then it causes this cycle because somebody is going to have to carry that responsibility. So if you're a man that ducks that, it now falls on the mom. And now that mom has that much of an anchor on them to try to get ahead, to do what's best long term for the rest of their family. And it causes the kids, not all the time, it is a stamp that it is going to happen this way. But now you have this cycle, because now that kid doesn't have the best education going into their adult life to try to then bring themselves up. Not necessarily going to happen, but it makes it harder, in my opinion.
Respectfully, when did Kevin Samuels come out? Like, when did he first hit the scene? And, like, not when did he first start talking, but when did he get his fame and notoriety?
Made it known.
Yeah.
He got his notoriety like 2022, I believe, 21, 22.
So we're talking 3 years ago. We're talking COVID here.
Fairly recent, yeah.
So here's my question. This is to you. This is to Super C. When are these young kids hearing this? Like, when are these 20-year-olds hearing this? When are they who is having these conversations with them that this is how you should be living, this is what you should be doing, this is where you should be putting your focus? Because all we see, even on modern television, which is completely different, completely revamped from what we saw growing up, because we definitely saw those household stuff. But even today's modern television is telling you to start dating in your 20s and to find that person in your 20s. So if that's all you're hearing, and you don't make your way to podcasts like this and shows like this that are telling you, okay, pause, like, think about this, strategically work things out, who's telling them this? So I respect what you all are saying, but I also say, who's telling them to do that?
And to be clear, we're talking about the average person. If you're somebody who comes from a blue chip family already, blue chip family, husband and wife, you graduated high school, you already had a positive net worth walking across the stage. This stuff,
we ain't talking to you.
We aren't talking to you. You likely already come from a pedigree where you had these conversations. And the fact that your net worth already started very positive anyway, that person can make more mistakes and still come out on top in life. Right? But for the average person, if you don't even have a savings account when you're 18, 19 years old, if you don't have that 3 times your month salary already, you do not need to be out on the date market. I'm just going to say that clean and persiliquent as I can. Is that the word?
Yes.
I said it right. All right, Google it.
So, but again, I say this. The issue isn't that the information is not being shared. The issue is that the information is not reaching the ears that it needs to get to. I hear or read what Super C is saying, but that is part of the issue. If they don't know about it, and what we're seeing is even the worst reality TV, some of those couples have been together since their 20s. It really doesn't matter where you look. Like, you look at sports stars, sports celebrities. They've been with people since their teenage years, regardless of how faithful they've been or not. They've been with these people since their teenage years. So again, you have couples that have been together for the long haul, because in those lanes, in sports and everything, you're told to hold on to that person that you were with, because they're going to be down for you through whatever. And you're always hoping that you're going to get your, let me pull a good example right now, that you're going to get Mrs. James, so LeBron James's wife. You're hopeful that you're going to get a LeBron James's wife, or you're going to get a Terry Cruz's wife, and that you're not going to get a Giselle, and that you're not going to get a Tiger Woods' first wife. Like, that's what you're hopeful for, right? You're hopeful that you've been with these people since you were in your teens, and that they're literally going to hold you down forever. And that's what people are looking at. That's what young people are looking at. Excuse me. That's what young men are looking at in their 20s. Young women, bruh.
Say it. Say it.
Young women are looking at, they're looking at career women, and they're like, oh, I'm going to go get my money, and I'm going to go get all dolled up, and I'm going to get all dolled up, and that's going to help me land the man in the tax bracket that I need him to be in order for me to date. Two different values. Like, we need to go back to the days where a woman.
Continue, babe.
It's in my head. I said it one way, and it's like I saw the stamp of cancel going right there. But we need to go back to the days where women were. How do I say this? We need to go back to the day when women. What was that?
Just use your tongue. Get it out.
Where women didn't put all of their priorities like that. So the moment that we put all of our focus and priorities into, let me go be dolled up, let me compete like this, let me try to impress a man, I think that was the time that we started not impressing men, and we became more of a hindrance than a help. When we cared so much about our outer beauty that we didn't pour into our spirits and nurture what was inside, that's the moment that we took a shift. If you want to call it feminism, okay, you can call it feminism. I don't care what you call it, but there came a point where women stopped caring about their inner self and cared more about their outer self. And that is where issues happen. I don't think it was when women entered the workforce. Definitely wouldn't say that. But I think that there was a moment where we became more preoccupied about what we saw in the mirror, that we didn't care about what our man saw within us. Bars. Like, my news feed, my reels and feeds and For You pages, it's all over the place, especially since I have been watching a lot of stuff about Malcolm X. And I will say this, one thing that I can appreciate about Muslim women is that they don't care about this. They care about this because they care about this. They care about their man. They humble themselves by wearing a hijab so that other people, including themselves, are not distracted by their beauty, and their beauty is reserved for their man. Now, is that to say that you're going to see some hijabi women not have on makeup? No. Because once they've satisfied what their man wants, they get permission from their man, they go out, they do this. I'm not saying that that is the ideal way for every single person to live. Again, what you do in your marriage is what you do in your marriage. But what I am saying is that we need to go back to a time where women stopped caring about this as much as they cared about this. Because this is what's going to keep a man. The Bible even says it in Proverbs 31 that looks are deceiving, beauty is passing, inflating, all of that. Charm is deceitful and beauty is passing, but a woman who fears the Lord, she shall be praised. That basically means that what we see on the outside, it has its time. It has its expiration date. But what is in here? What is in here? Because that's what's going to attract and keep a man. That is what it's going to attract a man and get him to stay. It's not how well your nails look. It's not how well you can do some other things, okay? It is about what's here and what's here. That's what's going to keep a man. Because if your heart and your mind are right, if your heart and your mind are set on being that, I'm going to say it, that submissive wife and being there for your man and putting your man as a priority in your life, putting your relationship as a priority in your life over the girls and what the girls are saying and these girl trips and all of what society is saying. When you put your man in your relationship first, your man will see that. He will honor that. And that outweighs the beauty.
He should.
He should. He should see that. He should honor that.
Speaking of Terry Crews, I recently just learned something that really disappointed me in him, in that he stepped out on his wife.
Yeah.
And by all accounts, it sounds as though she did everything that she was supposed to do. She helped guide him and some things like that.
Yeah.
Or she helped motivate him in a way that he said that was needed. And even after all of that, he still stepped out on her, which I thought was interesting. I'm like, if you have everything that you say that you have, what's the need to go? I don't understand that, because I'm somebody that, like, if I make an agreement or if I say you are everything for me, you're everything for me, right? So doing that is baffling to me, right? Because as we always talk about, it's what y'all agree to.
Yeah.
Like, if you're in a relationship and I say to you, Chico Beans from the 85 South Show, he's a comedian. Not that many people know him by name, but he's a pretty decently known celebrity.
Mm-hmm.
He comes out and he says, look, I let anybody know what time I'm on. And what he says is this: I have no expectations of monogamy whatsoever. And he said, he said he was like this before he even had celebrity. Mm-hmm. He said he never thought that monogamy was just his thing. So he said, take the fame off the board. I always had this kind of thought. People would look at me sideways thinking, oh, you need to settle down. He was like, what? No, I don't need to do anything for anyone but me. So he says when he talks to women, he lets the women know that up front.
Mm-hmm.
And if they choose to accept that, then they can rock together. So he got asked, well, are they allowed to be with other people? He said, not when they're with me. But he said, hear that. When they're not with me, I can go do whatever. But he said, if I'm on tour, because I travel a lot for work as a comedian, and you're with me for 1 or 2 weeks, you can't just dip off and go see somebody else. He goes, but I'm going to give you, the attention when it's us together. But when we ain't together, I'm over here. And I'm like, there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you communicated and that person accepted that, right? I have an issue when it's communicated and it's accepted, but then somebody changes the term somewhere down the road. That's where I have a problem. What are you about to say?
Am I everything you need?
Yeah, baby. Hold on. Yeah, baby. You everything and more. All right, so it's 8:14.
It is.
We have to end the show.
We do.
We'll be back next Monday.
Yes, we will.
To everybody that tuned in, thank you. This topic, like I said, it was spurned from this picture right here, but we felt that it was important enough to at least talk about it. What we're looking out there on the dating landscape, it's interesting. I know how much I make. And when I'm talking to young men about dating and getting out there and things like that, my message doesn't change. I say stay off of it, but it's hard. When you got hormones are swinging and you got, pheromones flying all over the place, it's hard, giggity, to be able to not stay out of the dating market.
But that's all the more reason why you have to learn how to train your inner body, and you have to learn how to train your mind. Like, again, okay, I've been watching way too many documentaries on MLK, Malcolm X, Bob Marley, everybody. Like, I've been watching a lot of documentaries. But one thing I will say is, if you can't train your body to put those things aside and focus on what needs to be focused on in that particular moment, then you are going to struggle. Mm-hmm. You are going to lose focus on what truly matters. And I'm just speaking to the women right now. You need to focus on what is inside. You need to focus on your soul. You need to focus on your heart. And you need to focus on your mind. You do not need to be out there getting like BBLs and all these other things that are mere distractions. Because the truth is, sometimes you are just going to glisten like a toy. And if you've ever had a child or seen a child on Christmas Day, you know those new toys, those new shiny toys, eventually people stop caring. Little kids stop caring about it and they move on to the next shiny toy. But what do you have that goes deeper? What do you have? Like, I think of those kids on Christmas morning who their parents have spent like all this money buying gifts for them, and their kid goes, unwraps everything, and plays with the box more than they play with the actual toy.
That was my kid.
Exactly. So why go out and spend all this money when at the end of the day, and this is y'all's words, not mine, they're going to leave you for somebody who's homely looking? Why? Because that homely person stays there behind at home. They're not at the club. They are taking care of the home. They are focused on their man. And that's where you need to be. That is not to say that you can't have a job. That's not to say you can't do other things. But that is to say that when you were in a relationship, you need to give focus and attention to that man that you were in a relationship with. And when we can get back to that, that's when we're going to stop seeing so many issues. We need to get back to that focus. Men are losing, their eyes are darting off at the other toys.
I'm trying
they're
with
darting,
the men.
They're darting off at other little toys because they know that there's another little toy that wants to be played with.
Mm-hmm. And I'm trying.
Like, if I know that there are other toys that want to be played with, I'm going to go play with the toys. But if I know that my woman at home has everything, she has the body, she has the brains, she has the heart, and she's down to take care of me, I am more likely to be home with her. Again, we don't make no promises. We don't make no guarantees. We just offer you a real outlook on healthy relationships. But that's it. Like, just you know me, baby. You know I'm good for a metaphor and good for a plug-in. I got you, baby.
Bet. All right. Well, hey, y'all, thanks for tuning in. If you hadn't hit that like button, please hit that like button for us. I believe we do have an outro, but before we do, your feet is a little bit better now, so bring them on over here, baby. We out, y'all.
Bye, y'all.
Peace.